What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 45 of the Foundation First Fitness Show with F.A.Q. Owen. Today we are going to be heading in a slightly different direction than what I normally do. Actually, I've done it before, but I haven't really done it in a long time, which is a question Q&A kind of session here. And one of the topics that I think I wanted to discuss today, because I've been getting a couple of questions on this, so I just kind of let them pile up a bit and I'll just answer them all pretty quickly. Is basically they're all going to be around strength training. I know that January is slowly approaching. A lot of people are getting close to that New Year's resolution time. So a lot of us are kind of pushing off that jump back into weight training or pushing off that fitness goal until the start of January, where there's going to be a lot of questions. So I figured I'd just start answering some of the questions you had already that might be kind of blocking you from wanting to really attack it head on and go after that. And so one of the things I think that I wanted to start off by saying was strength training is actually a component of what you're going to be doing. It's not the only thing. So a lot of us, we go into trying to do some kind of fitness transition, or we're trying to do a major transformation, trying to live a healthier life. And one of the things I think we always kind of focus on is the weight training. We neglect the nutrition a lot. So I do think that, as much as whatever I'm going to be talking about today is going to be very important, I think that, nutrition is also a major component. So if you're not taking that seriously, it will significantly hinder your results. It'll significantly hinder your progression. So take it very seriously. Nutrition is a big component. Now, getting into the frequently asked questions that I've been getting, the first one that I usually get is, what is the rep range or basically what is the best rep range for gaining muscle? And is the 8 to 12 or 6 to 12 really the best option? So a lot of this, the 6 to 12, 8 to 12 rep range that a lot of us that have kind of dabbled in the fitness world have kind of known as the muscle growth, or the what we like to call hypertrophy phase or hypertrophy range, is basically the range that's been established as the one that will give you the best results for putting on muscle. Now, a lot of that comes about from the years of bodybuilders sticking in that range, getting those results. Now, on the scientific side of things, what really ends up happening is that seems to be the range that will allow for a nice balance of the weight and the volume, which basically ends up becoming part of volume anyway. So basically what we talk about is, when you're trying to put on muscle, one of the most important factors is volume, and how much volume you are exposing that specific muscle group to. So what I mean by that is sets, reps, and weight of exercise. Now, that doesn't mean that training in an 8 to 12 rep range will necessarily make you bulk up and look like a bodybuilder or someone that's in fitness modeling. You have to remember that what they're doing, just like what a professional athlete does, is years and years and years and years and years of dedicated hard work, consistency, relentlessness, going after that same thing as much as they possibly can. So they're very, very disciplined in what they're doing. So if you're going to the gym training for an hour, honestly, it's going to be very hard to pull off that kind of result. I've never really heard of anyone that's kind of been able to really pull off those staggering results. And if there has been, they're probably anomaly more than anything. So I wouldn't get too bogged down by it. What I would tell you is that if you are looking to make a major transformation, that is one of the important areas, just like all the others are, which I'm going to touch on in a couple of seconds. But you don't want to shy away from it because it's the one that everyone says is going to make you gain a lot of muscle. To really be able to gain muscle, you have to kind of explore other realms as well. So you have to explore the strengths portion of it. You have to explore that endurance section of it. And the reasons for that is that your body is very quick to adapt to anything. It becomes used to it, it gets comfortable with it, and the results are not as great. The other thing is that dabbling in something like the strength phase, where you're going to be working with weights that are going to be between the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rep range, that's really going to be where you're going to be able to make the biggest jump in total amount of weight you can lift. So in terms of trying to push the most amount of weight possible, that's going to push your total volume up to a decent extent as well, because what you're doing is you're actually able to lift heavier, so that when you go back to lifting that 8 to 12 rep range, you're going to be able to benefit from that, right? You're going to be able to lift, instead of 100 pounds on a bench press, you're going to be lifting 115, 120 at that same rep range, because your capacity for strength has gone up, because you've essentially switched things up, challenged your body, and forced it to have to adapt again. Now, what that's going to do is going away from the 8 to 12 is going to, when you come back to it, is going to allow that rep range to have an effect again, which is going to allow you to keep growing. So don't be shy to kind of venture in. I know a lot of individuals might be asking that. And normally I do talk about performance and, and movements and corrective movements and stuff like that. I just know that this is a pretty important topic for a lot of people. And even for athletes, I deal with athletes that come in, and they're like, hey, I've got to add, 10, 15 pounds this off season. So we got to start working on building a little bit more lean muscle. So I do spend some time in that rep range. And that rep range also does fall into the rehab portion as well, where you are going to be gaining some general strength without having the risk of injury by lifting a little bit too heavy, where control kind of becomes an issue, and control and stability of that weight on your shoulder becomes an issue. So I still do spend some time in there, and I know a lot of people do. But to answer the question briefly, 8 to 12, yes, that's where you gain the most muscle, but do not be shy to venture elsewhere. Now, a lot of individuals think that if you're trying to lean up and you want to, get toned, for a lot of people out there who just want to stay in shape, they talk about the high rep range, go for endurance. If it's low weight, high reps, low weight, high reps, you always hear that same kind of topic. And yes, I understand where that comes from. It's low risk of injury, less ballistic, more control, so on and so forth. But again, just because that's the case, if you want to lean up, it really comes down to the amount of calories you're burning in, the type of musculature that you're trying to build, and as well, what type of calories you're taking in. So if you're taking in, garbage food, you can spend all the time you want in that endurance phase. You're not going to change anything. And if you're not doing enough of that endurance work, you're not going to get anywhere as well. So if you want to build some functional muscle, yes, you can spend some time in there. Again, still venture elsewhere. Now, if you want to head into more of the strength phase, I'm not talking about powerlifting and trying to lift as much as you possibly can, but what that will do is understanding how to lift heavy weight is going to increase the density of that muscle. It's going to allow you to lift heavier and consequently allow you to lift heavier in that endurance phase, and allow you to kind of still see some results from that endurance work that you're going to be doing. You don't want to waste time by just lifting in one rep range and not really spending time elsewhere. You want to spend some time venturing there as well. So don't be afraid to go into a little bit heavier if you want. It doesn't have to be 6 of the 10 months. It could literally be, 3-4 weeks at the very most. Come right back into it. You won't see, it's not going to be a massive difference. It's not going to be a huge deal. So, endurance phase, yes, you could spend some time in there. It's going to help you lean out. It's not the only thing. I've actually seen some, now that I'm on the topic, I think I kind of just remembered something. I've actually seen and heard of a lot of individuals who have been in, who are trying to lean up and actually go into more explosive stuff. So like jumping and plyometrics and stuff like that, which does require a certain amount of strength capacity, because you do have to prevent that injury by decelerating. So don't be afraid to go in there, because it's going to provide that benefit. But the explosive side of things actually allows your muscles to be extremely lean. Now, and the reason for that is if you look at someone who's like a sprinter, so you're looking at someone who sprints for that 10-second Usain Bolt type of build, you're looking at someone who's extremely, extremely lean. We're talking a lower body fat percentage than a marathon runner. The reason for that is that marathon runners have to store fat. Sprinters don't. Fat is slowing them down. So they want to be able to not have as much fat on them to be as explosive as possible. Same thing holds true for gymnasts. Gymnasts are very lean because they have to use their body and manipulate their body in air. You don't want to have to, and I know I just said in air like as if you're just like twirling in air, but there's obviously other things. You have to pull up yourself on a ring. You have to be able to control your body weight is essentially what I was getting at. But if you're able to control your body weight, it's going to have a lot to do with your body fat percentage. The leaner you are, the easier it is for you to be able to control your body weight because you're not carrying dead weight on you. You want to have as much functional muscle as possible. So don't be afraid to go into that realm as well. Going into the body weight exercise could also be a very good way for you to lean up. So A couple of other options there for you to lean up, obviously. And the final question was, what is the best way to gain on upper body size? So upper body size is I was trying to like reiterate that question a little bit better so that you guys would get an understanding of that. But upper body size is a big thing. A lot of guys love doing that. Listen, let's not beat around the bush here. Guys love the bench. Monday's bench day. If you're going into the gym, usually on a Monday, most guys are doing chest. And yes, if you want to add size to the upper body, some of the exercises you really cannot ignore are the bench press, the bent over row, and the pull up. Those are probably your biggest three that are going to be generating the most in upper body size. So that's going to be where you're going to want to spend a lot of your time, especially at the beginning of your lift, because you're going to want to put all your emphasis on trying to create as much of that tear and as much of that, kind of muscle growth as you possibly can. So don't be afraid to do it. If you are doing those types of exercises, do remember to balance. The fastest way for you to slow down your progress is by overtraining in one direction. Too strong in the front, too weak in the back, rounded shoulders, you lose muscle capacities. Muscles have to be able to balance. So the front has to be able to balance the back. So do not shy away from that. Don't allow it to kind of roll in. Keep it straight, keep it rolled out, keep your body, keep that posture nice and tall, nice and straight, nice and smooth, nice and symmetrical from your pushing and your pulling. So that basically kind of sums up the questions, the frequently asked questions that I'm getting, and some of the questions I've been getting about muscle, which obviously is not something I always dabble in, but I have dealt with it in the past. So there are a couple of things that are really important to talk about there. Just for those of you who are going into the January months and who are looking to kind of get back into the gym, looking to do some weight training, and you want to make sure that you're heading down that path. Now, for those of you who are wondering, if you are going into the gym, what should you be doing? Honestly, I always say this: stay away from machines. That's probably one of my cardinal rules. I think I've mentioned this. I've definitely mentioned, I don't think I've mentioned this. I've mentioned this, definitely mentioned this in a couple of episodes. Staying away from machines is probably your best bet. A lot of individuals talk about the simplicity of it. It prevents injuries. There's less likelihood of injury. Couldn't be further away from the truth. Your body needs stability. If you don't have it, you're going to get injured. That's plain and simple. It doesn't get any more black and white than that. If you don't have stability, your likelihood of injury goes up. How do you avoid that from being a problem? Body weight train, free weight train, functional training as much as possible. The reason I say that is not because that'll prevent you from getting injured, but you're not asking for the injury to happen. Now, does that mean that going into machines is going to cause an injury? No, I mean, you can obviously make that argument that, if you take away the stability, you can actually gain some muscle growth. So for those of you who are trying to do some bodybuilding, yeah, I've seen it happen. I don't doubt it, but I still wouldn't shy away from stability. It's a huge component, huge factor, definitely worth it. So don't get bogged down on the machines, because it's easy to just kind of jump in there and kind of do your leg press and do your machine press and all these different things, leg extensions and leg curls. Don't get caught up in those things. Go into the squats, go into the pressing, go into the different movements, go into the shoulder stability. You can even throw those in at the end. They're not going to tire you out too much. Yes, you're not going to gain. Yes, you're not going to gain much muscle from it, but they're going to provide a bunch of value up front, which is going to allow you to stay in the game longer, which is what you ultimately want. So if you have any questions, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, right down there, click that button. What are you guys waiting for? It's been almost, I think it's been about 9 months already. This show's been on 9 months, 8 months. I kind of lost count. I think it's only been about 8 months, actually. Oh my God, it's actually been way less than that. It's only been about 6 months. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that button below. If you guys are listening on the podcast, thank you so much for listening again. Head over to YouTube and check out some of my other stuff. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you're already there. But if you are on YouTube, I'm going to be starting a new segment called Warm Up Wednesdays. The reason I'm starting that is because a lot of individuals are talking about warm-ups, and it's actually one of the areas that I usually spend the most of my time with my clients on, especially the early phases of our sessions. We usually always spend most of our time in the warm-up, and the reason I spend so much time there is because that's where I'm really spending time kind of undoing all the garbage that's going on throughout the rest of your day. You know, from the sitting down to the shoes to the you know, the lack of movement, the lack of movement awareness. I'm trying to build that awareness, break the tissues down, get the body moving well, and that all really happens in the warm up. And if you're doing it well and you're warming up well, it allows the workout to be that much more effective and that much better. So that's why I'm dedicating a kind of a hopefully between 5 to 10 minute segment, hopefully not more than that, of a little, you know, probably a little bit more crafty, vlog-ish style of episode. I'm going to be hopefully debuting that either mid to late December, if not in January at the very latest. But there is a Move Better Monday segment that's still up there. You can also catch these episodes on there, so don't be shy. Head over there to Bobak Owen, so you can search that up on YouTube, Bobak Owen, BABAKOWEN. I'll put a link in the description on this podcast, on this YouTube episode. I don't know why I just said that. That was useless. If you guys are watching this on Facebook, I'll put the link there, so you guys can head over there, check out some of my other series, episodes, content, my other content. Yeah, let me know what you think about it. All right, guys. Until that next time, take care and keep building that foundation.